Democrats apparently are panicked. They're very nervous. They're worried that Republicans have a really good shot at winning the midterm elections based on these redistricting maps, especially after two back-to-back blows from two different states. The latest was on Friday. The Virginia Supreme Court invalidated the state's new congressional maps, which was favoring the Democrats. I think 9 out of 10 of those districts was going to go toward the Democrats. You can see it there.
So if you listen to Tim Kaine and Mark Warner and a lot of the Democrats out there, they are upset with the court because they said you should have ruled on this before the election. Meanwhile, these same Democrats, and the court says this in their opinion, they asked the court not to get involved until they passed it. And they passed it, and everyone knows that it was against their state constitution, but they wanted the court to be more political. Unfortunately, the court didn't rule that way for them, and now they're stuck with this. So the court didn't say you couldn't do it. They said you got to do this the legal way. You can't usurp the system, especially when we have a state constitution. That's not stopping other Democrats for just freaking out over the Supreme Court. Watch.
This isn't about winning the House. We're going to win back the House anyway. This is about reversing some of the progress we made in the civil rights movement.
I never thought I would see the day that the United States Supreme Court would be so openly partisan with what it's been doing. And I really believe if you look at all of these decisions and you look at the history of the country, I think that Justice Roberts is going to take his place alongside some other infamous justices like Taney, who gave us the Dred Scott decision.
There's a corrupt shadow hanging over the Supreme Court. They lead one of these pieces of legislation with Senator Whitehouse and others to give term limits to Supreme Court members. That could go a long way in curing this. The Supreme Court desperately needs reform. It is a corrupt court.
A corrupt court. Yet he points out to somebody getting private flights. What are you talking about? He's just a firebrand, thinks he's going to be president. He's never going to be president, but gets even worse. So instead of just being angry, saying the Supreme Court is corrupt, what are you going to do about the Virginia Supreme Court? Well, in a private call that was revealed that they held back the names, so they wanted it to leak to the New York Times, they say this: lawmakers vented anger at their defeat at the Virginia Supreme Court. They spoke about a collective determination to flip 2 or 3 Republican-held seats under the existing map and discussed a bank shot proposal to redraw the congressional lines anyway. The most dramatic idea they discussed, which would be involved the unusual gambit to replace the entire Supreme Court of Virginia with the goal of reinstating their gerrymandered map. One key to the plan would be having Democrats in Richmond lower the mandatory retirement age for Supreme Court justices. Can you imagine?
It's unbelievable.
Firing the Virginia Supreme Court. By the way, if you want to take off in a purple state, independents, who you need to win elections, do that. So.
Happy Monday morning to you. It is May 11th, 2026. And what is that the smell of? It is the smell of fresh, molten, burning, searing panic in the air from Democrats who have raged and screamed and freaked out all weekend psychotically because they are going to lose again. We're going to manifest this. There's power in manifesting. I'm going to tell you right now the future. Here we go. Gas is going to collapse. The gas prices are going to go back to where the median gas prices fundamentally are, which is around $2 a gallon. That's where it was in December and January of 2025 to 2026. There were some on this program who had gas prices below $2 a gallon in Texas and Colorado specifically. This is something that's going to happen by the midterms. The economy is going to rip roar because President Trump is going to announce 2 peace deals, one with Iran and one with Ukraine and Russia. That's something that is happening actually in concert. President Trump is using the Iran conflict in order to put a shoulder into Putin, and we saw Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky this weekend thank President Trump for the ceasefire and then for a future peace agreement. I think those things are going to happen at quick scale after President Trump meets with Xi Jinping this week. President Trump is going to head to China And the world will be reset as soon as we retake Cuba and install potentially a Cuban warlord named Castro on that island. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, the point is that I'm not going to black pill. I'm going to white pill. And I'm going to white pill over the plan trusting and the reality that we have some really smart people on our side that are working extremely hard. And we know many of them. And we've gotten a couple of downloads, actually, about what the plan actually is and where we believe that the country is going to be heading into the midterms. Is a little dodgy, a little bit of a brinksmanship, a little more than I wanted, to be perfectly honest with you. But you are in the right place if you didn't burn your MAGA hat. You're in the right place if you can fundamentally disagree with decisions like adults. You're in the right place if you believe that there is no God other than the God of the Bible, that Christ is king, and that no man, no government is God. But that fundamentally you can select and choose wise leaders, and the leaders that we have are a lot wiser, a lot better than Kamala Harris would have been. That's a fact. And if you can't come with me on that, if you're going to sit there and simp for the Democrat Party, if you're going to say that it'd be better if Democrats were in charge, if you're going to root against America in a conflict, then you're in the wrong place. You know, this is a place for patriots. This is a place for winning. And this is what we're going to do. This is also a place for adults and for people that have things to fight for. And we have things to fight for because we fought for everything, because I was born completely like dirt poor. And because we've all scrappily made our own way as God would provide for us. And we're doing the best with what God has given us. I have a bunch of little children, so I actually can't black pill. What's the point? I have millions of kids. I have millions of little kids. They're running all over the house all day and night. And they're sick, so now they're running into our rooms like at all hours of the night. I'm up at night, and my wife as well. It doesn't matter if it's Mother's Day. It's just like constantly, like we are hustling, we are grinding, we are working in order to provide for a future for our children. And what does that mean? Like, who cares how much money you got in the bank if your country has collapsed? And that's what we're fighting for on this channel. And so I feel like it's great to just sort of vision cast. Leaders need to vision cast and need to put forward an end point that we are all fighting to reach. And the end point for this country is a new American empire that's stronger than it's ever been before, that's more secure than it's ever been before, that's cleaner than it's ever been before, that can be an incubator for Western civilization. That means not bringing in people who are going to defy Western civilization, our principles, that are going to muddy and destroy the incredible legacy of this nation, the histories of our people. This is critically important to bring in people that are harmonious, or bring in no one at all, which would be my preference. Democrats are losing their minds because they understand that they are within a hair's breadth of losing everything. And it's exciting to watch. They have new schemes that they're hatching in Virginia to try and rig back the state. It's going to be delightful to talk with two members of Congress today about all of that. Randy Fine will be joining the program along with Ralph Norman. He's from South Carolina, a critical state. What does the future hold? Well, AOC all but announced that she's running for president, and Kamala Harris is now the odds-on to win the Democrat nomination for president. Democrat nomination for president. We did a poll this last week asking whether you are for J.D. Vance or whether you are for Marco Rubio. I will tell you right now that I have deep respect, abiding respect for both men. I believe both men would be righteous carriers forward of the MAGA movement. However, I find it very interesting some of the tectonic motions that are and power plays that are happening. I believe that Marco Rubio released his first political ad for president this weekend. We'll play that for you. So things are happening quickly, as we've often stated. The midterms is so far away. It's 6 months away. It's 6 months away. So it's not far at all, in fact. The summer's going to go by like that, as it always does. And then we'll be right there at the midterms. So what will happen next, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to keep fighting. You are in exactly the right place if you are a fighter, if you love this country, and if you want to see Dems panic. And that is exactly what is happening right now. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. American Financing can make sure that you are financially secure for your golden era. And one of the number one ways to make sure that you don't have opportunity financially is to be burdened by debt that you cannot pay off. That's what usury rates. Usury rates should be illegal. They're immoral based on the Bible. You're talking about rates of 20 and 30% for credit card debt. That kind of stuff can drown you out. Get rid of it. Call my friends at American Financing right now. It's America's home for home loans at 888-528-1219, 888-528-1219, AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. Get out of debt today. Seize your American future. Okay, so Democrats are trying to seize something that I think is remarkable, and I want to like do a big hype for our show and our program and for this audience. I want to say what up to the chat. I want to say good morning to you. We love you and we care about you. And I want to put up something that shows that you were, if you were tuning into this program approximately 3 weeks ago, you're tuning into this program, that you saw the future. This is Ken Cuccinelli. He's a man who, this was April 24th. Okay, so April 24th, approximately 3 weeks ago. Ken Cuccinelli went on our program, and he's the former Attorney General of Virginia. He ran for governor. He didn't win, but he's a great dude. And he said, no, you don't understand. They're going to lose this battle. It's going to destroy the Democrat Party. They're going to lose their minds. Their brains are going to snap on all of this. It's going to be nullified by the Supreme Court. It could be a 7-0 decision, he predicted. He wasn't right on that, but he was right that Democrats were going to lose. I just want to nobody likes a braggart. But I do want to tell you that you're in the right place if you're looking for actual accurate information and not partisan doom scraping. You're looking at the future here, and you saw it 3 weeks ago on this program. Very quickly here from Ken. Love to get a status update on these court battles. Some people are saying that they're unwinnable for Republicans. You know the landscape, the legal landscape of Virginia better than almost anyone right now. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Benny, actually the other side has the steep hill to climb here on the legal front. They squeaked by outspending our side 3 or 4 to 1 on the referendum vote Tuesday. I think they were counting on 10 or 15 point win so that they could turn around and try to bully our Supreme Court. And when there's numerous constitutional problems, and when we say constitutional, we're talking about the state constitution. The Supreme Court of Virginia, SCOVA, will decide this, not SCOTUS. This isn't going to be a federal decision. The Supreme Court of Virginia took briefing yesterday on 2 of the constitutional challenges. They're hearing oral argument on Monday on those 2, and news literally just in the last few minutes. The case from Southwest Virginia that was decided earlier this week, that the current Attorney General said he was going to appeal. The plaintiffs have asked the Supreme Court of Virginia to take that up, and they have agreed to skip the Court of Appeals, which is a packed court by Democrats, by the way. But this was all ultimately going to be decided by the Supreme Court of Virginia anyway. And so we'll see a briefing schedule for that second case come sometime soon. But I'm not sure it's going to go quite as fast, because all of the violations the Democrat General Assembly did here, they just trampled the state constitutional requirements for passing a constitutional amendment. And then they expected to get passed and say, hey, come on, man, we won, let it stand. No legal argument. And the legal arguments they're making are such long stretches. They've been made in other places in the country. They've never won.
They've never won. You heard it here on this program first, and I'm here to tell you that they're not going to win in their new scheme. Democrats have a new scheme. So after they've lost the Virginia gerrymander, and by the way, this is something existential for Democrats, I want to pop up I want to do a historic white pill here. The Cook Political Report ratings. This is, this, ladies and gentlemen, is your white pill for the day. I think we actually have a graphic for that. Here we go. The Cook Political Report House ratings now show that Republicans are set to, in fact, keep the House. Democrats are set to lose potentially 9 seats in the House. Republicans are set to gain 7. There are now 18 potential toss-ups. And we are looking at a very, very different map. Not the right ratings, please. Thank you. In the script, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what all of the available evidence says all throughout the polling. It is, there you go. Thank you, guys. Thank you. There you go, boys. There you go. Look at them go. Absolutely, absolutely panic-inducing for Democrats. The redistricting fight that Democrats started in the state of Virginia, they are now losing. Pride cometh before destruction. They may actually lose the Utah seat that they were able to rig away from Republicans in that Republican superstate. They may actually lose more seats in California, which is remarkable because the California seats were decided based on the old racial gerrymandering rules from Article 2 of the Voter Rights Act. So they may end up they're getting sued actively right now. They may end up losing seats now in California. It has been an absolute nightmare. This decision has been the single biggest political backfire that I have ever witnessed in my life. Democrats are on the losing side of this, and so they're going to get desperate. And here's what they're going to do. Democrats' scheme to fix Virginia gerrymander fail is a worse outrage. Here we go. What are Democrats planning on doing in order to reverse the Supreme Court? You're going to love this. You're going to love it. Democrats are planning on announcing, and I don't know how far along this plan is, but we'll see what they end up doing. I won't put it past them. They're planning on announcing that they're going to change the age limits for Supreme Court justices in Virginia to 52. And that would mean that there are no more Supreme Court justices in Virginia because they're all over the age of 52. So that would give Democrats the opportunity to wipe clean the entire Supreme Court and then appoint every single justice in this session. And I think this is genius. I think it's perfect. It's a perfect rule politically. But what are the limits of that rule? Well, there's none. If you ever don't like a political outcome, you can just change the age limits of your opponents. So if Joe Biden gets elected president at 78 years old, then you just change the rule. You change the Constitution immediately to say that you have to be 77 to be elected president. You can get no more Joe Biden. It's perfect. You can change the rules in the House to say that every member of the House has to be 40 years old. You get rid of the entire squad. Boom, gone. AOC, gone. Ilhan Omar, gone. You make a rule that every single third world migrant that comes to this country has to be 150 years old. Boom, all third world migrants, they all have to go home, every single one of them. You do it retroactively over the last 20 years. It's perfect. It's genius. It's a concept. It's never been tried. I just love it. It's so clean. It's so movable. You'll never have to lose a battle ever again. Anybody on the left that ever wins, anybody that wins anything ever in politics ever again, the other side just changes the age limits and you're good. You can change them on the back end. You can change them on the front end. You have to be this old. You have to be this young. You have to be this tall. You have to be this sober. Nancy Pelosi, you have to be sober to be a Speaker of the House. Boom, she's gone. Immediately, you have to be sober to insider trade. Boom, no more Nancy Pelosi. It's so smart. It's so desperate. It's incredibly sad, pathetic. The New York Times writing this up. The New York Times talking about how Abigail Spanberger and Hakeem Jeffries are all huddling together in order to try and figure out how to flip this. And there's a reason why they're so desperate. I mean, this is something that every member of Congress needs to be asked if they're in favor of this. Are you in favor of this? Are you in favor of wiping out the entire Supreme Court based on some type of sociopathic, irrational age restriction that you just decided on yesterday because you didn't like an outcome? Are you in favor of this principle? Abigail Spamberger needs to be asked this immediately. We need to hear her opinion, and every Democrat member of Congress. Are you down with this idea that, like, this principle that every time you lose politically, you're just going to change an age limit of the people who you lost to and then wipe out the decision? I've never seen anything so tyrannical. I've never seen anything in such open defiance of any principle of the republic or democracy or any of the institutions that they so claim to protect. And there's a reason why they're getting so desperate. There's a reason why this loss stings a little harder than others. I just showed you the congressional maps. These maps are looking brutal for Democrats. If they've spent, it's a marketing problem that they're having right now. It's less of a political problem. It's more of a marketing problem. And I'm going to project to you what's going to happen over the next couple of months and years and show you that Democrats are on their way to a place where no Democrat will ever win nationally ever again. No Democrat. It is impossible for a Democrat to win nationally. It'll be impossible, frankly, for a Democrat to win on a state level. And let's talk about the full-scale collapse. Then we're going to bring on Congressman Randy Fine. The Democrat Party, people have to believe in it to donate. These parties can't do anything if they don't have money. Money is the blood in the bloodstream. This is why you saw everyone go broke after Elon Musk defunded USAID. Suddenly, all the most evil people in the country didn't have 2 pennies to rub together because USAID was gone. If you cut off the money supply, the organ dies. If you cut off the blood supply, you die. Okay, the blood is the money in the system. People will not donate to losers. We know this. They're not going to donate if they think they're lighting their money on fire. It doesn't matter how committed you are, how many billions you have. Nobody wants to donate to a loser. In fact, it's a liability because then the winner is going to come after you. And so the Democrat Party has to prove that it can win. They have to prove that they can win in what is a pretty easy environment for them to win right now. Gas is $4 a gallon. President Trump has had higher approval ratings, that's for sure. And Republicans in Congress, as we have been critical of, haven't, I think, done what must be done in order to secure our elections or to have a base election or a red wave. They haven't. And so Democrats have sort of a free shot on goal here. They've been calling President Trump a tyrant, a dictator, a Nazi. They've been trying to kill him. It doesn't even bother them at all. They want it to happen. They've been signaling to their base that's what must happen in order to rid us all of Hitler, right? Orange Hitler. If Democrats are able to explain to their constituents what a imperative it is to rid the country of Trump, but then they don't even take back a single branch of government, they'll prove that they're totally politically incompetent and that nobody should ever trust them again. And that's what they're about to do. Their base will abandon them forever and careen even more radically over the cliff when they lose the Senate and the House and Republicans are able to retain full control of the federal government. Court, so the judicial, legislative, and executive branches, I believe, will all be held by Republicans after the midterms. That will be an existential crisis. And here's why. It's not just the loss. It's not just the humiliation ritual of it all. And the demoralization aspect of losing even further to their base that just like can't pop their SSRIs fast enough, can't cry in the street fast enough. They've run out of mascara to have running down their face. It's not just that, it's that they know what happens next. What happens next is going to be a really good, actually the map looks really great in 2028 for Republicans, a lot of like really strong seats to defend. Their chances are not strong in 2028. It'll depress and demoralize them heading into a presidential election season. People will just say, whatever. You're already starting to see this online. Democrats just saying it's over. Republicans won forever. The bad guys always win. And have we been trying to promote the demoralization ops? I love them. I should just create a burner account to just demoralize all day. In 2028, you start the census. The 2030 census is how you actually get Republican control frankly, forever on a national stage, because if you do it legally, I'm not arguing you rig anything. We don't do that. If you do it legally, then you're never going to see a Democrat win nationally because you're going to see another 30 congressional seat flip to red states. Texas and Florida, but then a ton of states in the deep South that have gained population, like the Carolinas. Other states like Idaho are set to gain a seat, and Utah potentially. Very, very good things. Blue states, of course, losing seats in mass, like California and New York. That is the true Waterloo for Democrats. If they don't control that process, if they're not able to rig on the edges that process, the census, like they did last time, if Donald Trump's able to get the citizenship question on the census and not count illegals, then you're talking like a full-scale collapse of the party, and then no one will ever donate again. No, you're talking in insolubility. It's over. It's like a business that's gone completely bankrupt. No one will donate. They'll become like a marginalized, sort of like ghettoized, just in like the big cities. It'll become embarrassing. It'll be just like the KKK, right? Like, can't even find them these days. But they used to be everywhere, and then obviously everything collapsed. And the Democrat Party is what brought you the KKK in the first place. They're going to go the way of the KKK. It's going to get like crunched down and whittled down to just like a couple of people in the backwoods, like that still believe in the Democrat Party. But those backwoods will be like the Bronx, right? And downtown San Francisco. And that'll be it. Like, it'll be Nancy Pelosi and AOC's district. They'll become a party that is incapable of carrying a national election. Therefore, everyone will flee. They'll have to reform. It'll probably fracture into a million different pieces. The DSA will start running and winning. You're seeing this happen in England, actually, with the Labour Party. The radical Greens, like cannibalizing the Labour Party. And they'll just break it down. This is why it's so important that MAGA stay together right now. This is why it's so important that we have principles that we practice through in our politics and our policies. And so please understand like that this is existential for Democrats. This is why they will be willing to break any rule, do anything, keep your head on a swivel. These people are desperate. Power to them is their God. They don't have a God. They don't believe in God. All polling shows this. Their God is government. Their clergy are the robed members of the Supreme Court, right? Not the Supreme Court. They'll overthrow that in a heartbeat. Their institution that they wish to control is not an institution of heaven. It is an institution of hell here on earth. And they believe, like every other pagan, that they can bring about utopia if they just kill us all, if they just crush us all. And that's the nature of all tyrants and totalitarian. We shouldn't let it get to that point. And the only way to not let it get to that point is not let them take power again. By using our power now. So one party is going to rule over the other, and that is just the way it's going to be for the near term. Which one's it going to be? Be strong, Republicans, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. All right. We have Randy Fine on to talk a little bit about, well, strength. As a Republican, he has been putting forward some pretty remarkable ideas that were quite interesting to us. He's a brand new member of Congress from the state of Florida, and he's here to talk Ilhan Omar and what is an American. Congressman Randy Fine, live right now. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So you made some waves this past week by going very hard in the paint, asking what is an American and who should be allowed to serve in Congress. And I just want to back up here and give you an opportunity to architect what you believe about those questions. Who should serve in Congress? What should be the legal terms upon which you can represent the United States of America in our government?
Well, thanks for having me. Look, when our framers created the Constitution, they had a few rules to serve in Congress. They said you had to be 25 years old, you had to be in America so long. But one thing they never anticipated is the idea that foreigners might be able to get elected to Congress, that people who hold citizenship in multiple countries might be able to be elected to Congress, to people who served in the military in other countries or have sworn an oath to put those other countries first might be able to serve in Congress. We've got dozens of people in Congress today who may be citizens of foreign countries. We know about over 30 who were born in other countries and certainly were citizens of those other countries at times. But then there are others who were children of foreigners when they were born in America, who maybe have foreign citizenship as well as those who were naturalized in other places. And so I've put forward something that frankly is controversial, but shouldn't be, that says only citizens of America should be able to serve in Congress. If you're a citizen of another country, whether you were born there or whether you naturalized into it and you refuse to give up that citizenship, you should not be able to serve in Congress. And when you look at some of the most problematic members of Congress that we see today, the Ilhan Omars of the world, the Delia Ramirez's of the world, the Jayapals of the world, all of them have ties to foreign countries, ties that may include citizenship. And I simply don't think we should have that in the United States Congress.
A couple follow-up questions to that, because that just stunned me to the core. You say there are 30 members of Congress that have potentially dual citizenship?
Well, there are 30 who were born in another country. And so theoretically, when they were born in that country, they became a citizen of that country. They're not natural born Americans. Now, they may have become American and they could have chosen to forsake their citizenship in those countries. What's remarkable is we don't even know who the dual citizens are in Congress unless they choose to tell us. But so, for example, Ilhan Omar was a citizen of Somalia. She was born in Somalia. She came to the United States. She has publicly said that she puts the interests of Somalia over the interests of the United States. So we can assume that she's a dual citizen, but we don't know that for sure. But she was a citizen of Somalia at some point, if she's not today. And the question is, if you're a citizen of Somalia and the United States, you can't swear an oath to protect and defend two countries. One of them has to come first. You can't serve two masters. So my bill is very simple. You can only be a citizen of the United States if you want to serve in Congress.
Kind of remarkable. How could anybody ever argue against that? And what would, it is indefensible. How could anybody ever go to the floor and like I guess I could come up with it. You could chat GPT this thing, right? Like, aren't we a melting pot? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody, like, that day it's not 2012 anymore, bro. Right? Like, Obama's not president anymore. Nobody believes that. And everybody sees exactly how pernicious these ops are in order to like bring foreign influence into our country. And it's obviously a huge problem. I think that many people have rightly noted. And I think it's going to be a huge problem going forward. Yeah. What would even be the defense against this? How could anybody ever argue against this?
I don't know. There is no good argument against it because, by the way, I would note that in a person who was born in another country, immigrated to the United States, became a United States citizen, but still a citizen of the foreign country, they could simply forsake their citizenship and they would still be eligible to serve in Congress. So there is no good reason for this. There's no argument that says a foreigner should be able to serve in the United States Congress. I can think of no argument. And the way that they will keep this from happening is by keeping the bill from being heard. And certainly in the Senate, where the Democrats won't vote for anything that makes sense, they actually want to increase foreigners in the United States. They want illegal immigrants to be able to vote, let alone legal immigrants. That's where the issue we're going to run into is. But I would challenge anyone to give me an argument for why a dual citizen should be able to serve in Congress. There is no analytical justification for it.
You're Jewish, and you've obviously, go hard in the paint on social media for some of the issues that many people would call Zionist. Does this apply to Israel as well?
Absolutely. Part of the reason that I said I would file this bill is I got tired of being accused of being a dual citizen. They're like, oh, you put Israel above everywhere else. I'd never even been to Israel till I was in my 30s. I'm not a dual citizen. And by the way, as far as I know, not a single member of Congress who's Jewish is also a citizen of Israel. But we do have many dual citizens in Congress. And I thought, who better to advance the idea that you can't serve two masters? Who better to advance the idea that you can't be a dual citizen and serve in Congress than someone who's actually accused of it falsely all the time? And that's why I put forward the bill.
It's strong. What about foreign lobbying in Congress? I know this is a huge problem. You just got up there. I think many people see this. I also see this from an influencer perspective as like a major issue. I think foreign governments realize they can purchase real estate and a lot of different influencers. And I view this as a huge problem. Obviously everybody in this space has seen this get accelerated exponentially. And it's important to know that like the people that are advocating and arguing with really big voices on either side of anything are doing so with clarity of heart, and that they are doing so for the interests of America and not some foreign nation. I think that's also critical.
Well, I think one thing we could use is a lot more transparency. So, for example, you talked about influencers. You know, the content model doesn't work the same way it did. CBS News, ABC News, you knew who paid for them because you could look and see who the advertisers were. Now you have many influencers who are simply taking money from overseas, but we don't actually know that. So a piece of legislation that I've been working on would require anyone involved in politics to disclose who's giving them money. I have to do it right now. Anyone who gives me money, I have to disclose who gives it to me. And you can criticize me or celebrate me however you want, but you can see who has supported my campaigns. The same thing should happen in the influencer world. It should also, frankly, happen in the protesting world, where people have been able to conflate unpaid protesters with paid protesters, and we don't actually know where the money is coming from. The last thing I think we need to really be focused on is the pernicious influence of foreign governments in social media, where there are these bot farms in other countries that attempt to change the terms of the debate in the United States by affecting things over here. 30% of the comments that people make on my X account are not from America. That's people who aren't even trying to hide behind a VPN. I don't know why people in Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or Qatar are interested in what I'm doing as a congressman from Florida. But interestingly, for every one comment I get from Israel, I get 60 from one of these other countries. And that's, again, think about it, 30% of people who are commenting on my social media aren't even from the United States. I think we've got to deal with that issue as well. Foreign influence is a real problem.
Yeah, foreign influence, a massive problem. I would probably make an addendum to that to say that if you're being paid by a foreign country, that you should have to register under FARA. I mean, I truly believe that.
I agree.
If you're getting money, this is lobbyist money. You're being paid in order to influence certain segments of the American political zeitgeist. If any country that has an agenda for or against America and they're paying you, I think it's a FARA violation. I was totally in favor, obviously, of prosecuting Hunter Biden for this, because it's clearly what Hunter Biden was doing. And I think that we should put a wall up around that, because I believe it's totally duplicitous. It'd be really nice to see this. I can't. I'm still stunned that there are potentially 30 different members of our Congress that were born in different countries. But Ilhan Omar is the one who's caught your ire. It's a pretty amazing clip. There's no point in playing it right now, but maybe we can, ALX, if you just grab it. The president of Somalia comes in, and in whatever language they speak is like he just translated. He's like, Ilhan Omar is the member of Congress from Somalia, not from America. Like, we're well aware of that. She's our Somali member of Congress. And I was like, this is despicable. This is a totally despicable thing to say. This is something that is disqualifying in the extreme. And you've been sort of notching exactly how disqualifying Ilhan Omar's residency inside of Congress actually is. And you want to kick her out of Congress. Can you explain, how are you going to do that, Congressman?
Well, look, she's a problem on so many levels. You talk about the Somali loyalty. There's the issue of immigration fraud, which is the real issue that we're waiting on. There's a belief by many, and the president has talked about it, that she married her brother in order to help bring him into the United States. We have seen a massive problem with immigration fraud in the Somali community. But then there's the third level of problem, which is welfare fraud, where we've seen tens of billions of dollars of fraud in Minnesota, where we see that more than 80% of Somalis that have come to the United States continue to be on our welfare programs. And it appears that Ilhan Omar is tied up to her neck in all of that. In fact, the Minnesota state legislature is doing an investigation. They asked her to cooperate, and she has refused. If she was innocent, what does she have to hide? So we're waiting on a lot of that to come out, both the welfare fraud, the immigration fraud, and then we'll take action. Because someone who engaged in immigration fraud not only shouldn't be in Congress, they shouldn't be in the United States at all.
Congressman, I sat across from the vice president a couple weeks ago, and he said, listen, I want to just give you this on the record. Stephen Miller has the paperwork. He has the documentation that proves that she's here illegally and that she criminally lied on her immigration forms. And we are figuring out how best to action that. And I've heard that also from other sources at DHS. What do you think should happen to Ilhan Omar? What would be your recommendation to the administration if they do indeed have the documents?
If she engaged in immigration fraud, she should be deported. I'm waiting on that from them, and then I will do what I can do in Congress. If she engaged in immigration fraud, if she married her brother, which, by the way, is simply disgusting if you step back and think about that for a minute.
It's illegal, though, also. Like, you can't, it doesn't matter where you're from, you can't do that, right? Based on American law, it's also illegal.
Right. And if she did that, and when they reveal that documentation, I'll take the congressional step to expel her from Congress. What's extraordinary is I don't think the Democrats will vote for it. You have to have a 2/3 vote in Congress. I think it's pretty clear they won't vote to expel anyone. But if she lied in her immigration forms, she should not only not be in Congress, she should not be in the United States of America. I can't kick her out of America, but I can help get her kicked out of Congress.
And what would be the grounds upon which you would expel her from Congress? How would you architect that?
Well, it would be immigration fraud. I mean, whether it's how she lied to become a citizen or whether it was marrying her brother to get him in there. If she engaged in immigration fraud, look, the greatest win you can have in the world, frankly, is to be an American. It's something that many of us don't appreciate enough. Part of the reason so many illegals want to come here is they want to be American. There's 6-7 billion people in the world. 300 million of them are Americans. This is a gift that those of us who were born here get, and it is a gift that we extend to certain people who come here from other places. If you abuse that gift, you disrespect every single American who did it the right way, every American who was born here. And so if there is proof that she engaged in that immigration fraud, we have an obligation to make an example out of her, to send a message to everyone else that we will not put up with that in the United States of America. But take that immigration fraud and couple it with the policies that she advocates, the attempting to hide the welfare fraud, the attempt to give more free stuff to Somalians, that should bother everyone. So when we have this proof that she engaged in immigration fraud, when the government goes after her on citizenship and perhaps criminal measures, I'll go after her in Congress.
So I think a lot of Republican members sort of miss the easy out here, which is that Ilhan Omar has also engaged in deeply unethical behavior by lying on her financial disclosures form. She did have a fake winery. She's a Muslim. Her husband's a Muslim. You're not allowed to even own a winery. It's not haram. You're not allowed to do this. Okay. You're not allowed to drink wine, own wine. It's crazy. I guess kind of depending on if you're in Somalia, I guess you are allowed to marry your brother. Inbreeding and incest is, the coefficients are very high in Somalia, but owning booze and alcohol are forbidden. She's also lied, seemingly. I mean, I'm no expert on money laundering, but it seems like she's lied in order to cover up some of the incredible windfalls. As you said, she's up to her neck in fraud, and she wrote the Meals Act, which was the exact act that got rid of the regulations that allowed for the Feeding Our Future fraud. To the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. There are 90 Somalis that pled guilty to charging the government for fake meals for children that never existed. And Ilhan Omar, all of her friends were in on that. It does not take some type of like Dick Tracy, Bruce Wayne detective to figure out that, like, if she's writing the legislation and all of her friends are getting rich off it, and then suddenly she's worth millions and millions of dollars, that there's some type of connection there. It's pretty low level criminality, honestly. So taking the immigration question off the table, because that's for DHS, what about Congress? What about Congress and its own ethics? Because right now you're signaling that you can just pass legislation, get filthy rich off of it, lie to Congress, which is a crime. If I did it, I'd be in jail for the rest of my life. I'd never see my children again. Like, look, Ilhan Omar lied to Congress in her financial disclosures. Why not go after that?
Well, we are. And so people understand the issue. Ilhan Omar, who didn't have two nickels to rub together, disclosed, and by the way, I have to fill out a financial disclosure as well. We fill them out ourselves. We swear that they are true under penalty of perjury. She claimed that she was worth $30 million. That was her claim. She didn't have to prove it. She didn't have to attach her tax returns or anything else. But she said, I'm worth $30 million. And people said to themselves, how can this be? How do you go from broke to being worth $30 million? And so just a few weeks ago, she said, oh, wait, it was an accounting mistake. I'm really not worth $30 million. I really still don't have two nickels to rub together. Now, one of two things is true. Either she lied for whatever reason to claim she was worth $30 million and she wasn't, or she really is worth $30 million. And given all of the heat, she's now lying to say that she's not. Why would she do either of these? Well, we understand why she would lie and now say she doesn't have any money. She doesn't want people to know all the money she has. Why would she say she's worth $30 million if she's not? Well, it's possible they were going to go try to get loans and they were going to go try to borrow money. And when they were going to go to the bank, they were going to say, yeah, you can loan me $2, $3, $4, $5 million because I'm worth 30 million. We don't know why she lied, but what we do absolutely know at this point is that she lied under oath one of two ways. She's either worth $30 million or she's worth $80,000, but you don't make an accounting mistake. When we make an accounting mistake, that's when you think you have $1,200 in your bank account and you really have $1,300 or you really have $1,100. You don't go from 30 million to 80,000 over an accounting error. The good news is she isn't the first person to have lied on a financial disclosure form. There is a process to hold her accountable for that. And that process is underway right now. Multiple congressional committees are looking into it and determining, because first we have to determine which was the lie. We don't know. Was the 30 million the lie or was the 80,000 the lie? We have to answer that question and then we'll hold her accountable for lying. But what we can say absolutely at this point is Ilhan Omar has admitted under oath that she lied in her financial disclosure form and she will be held accountable for that.
All right. Just very quickly, Congressman, I have just want to get to on one or two things. What about third world immigration to America in the first place? This seems to be the real problem. I mean, ultimately, right? And like nobody's ever had the decency to come on this program who was part of the decision to bring in hundreds of thousands of Somalis to our country and explain why that would be a good idea. Or Haitians, or any other third, or Indians, or any other third worlders, right, who come from completely alien and foreign cultures, not Western civilization. What should be the stance of the Trump administration or administrations that you would support going forward for immigration?
Well, I can tell you why they did it. It ties back to some of your earlier points. Democrats can no longer win American elections. They've lost Americans. Even if you look at New York, where Mondani won, natural-born Americans, people who actually lived and were from New York, overwhelmingly voted against him. It was people who just got off the boat who voted for him. And when your immigration system, the people who are coming to America should share the values of the people who are already in America. It doesn't mean we have to look the same. We might be of a different race. We might be of a different religion, but we should share the same values. And what we've seen is immigration coming to this country that doesn't share the values of the people who are already here. That's not immigration, that's invasion. And they brought them in because they knew they needed a new source of voters. What do we do about it? I think we need to pause all immigration right now. I think we've got too many people who came to this country too quickly. I think we need to allow things to settle. And frankly, I think we need to be focused on deporting every single illegal immigrant without exception. I don't care if you've been here 5 minutes or 5 decades. If you came here illegally, you need to go home. Then we need to be sending guests home who are here in this country who hate it. And then I think we need to go back and look over the last 30 years, all of the people who became paperwork Americans, but don't actually share our values. What's very clear is our immigration authorities did not do a good job of vetting people to become American citizens. This is going to be a difficult thing to do, but our country lies in the balance. When you have all of these people, and I'm just talking about the ones in Congress, who not only don't love America, but seek its destruction. If we don't do something about this, so I'm as hard line on immigration as it gets. Seal the border, stop letting more people in, and send a whole lot of them home.
So final question for you on foreign influence. This has sort of been the topic of this entire debate, and I think that you've taken some really great stances on this. I agree with a lot of them. Bibi Netanyahu this weekend said that the American foreign aid to Israel should be carved down to zero. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think there's two reasons. Number one, look, I want us to spend less money in general. It's $3.8 billion a year. It's a fraction of what we gave to fake Somali daycares, but it's still $3.8 billion. And the number one issue I worry about is the American debt and deficit. And every billion we can save helps us with that problem. I think the second thing is it eliminates this political argument that somehow we're wasting. We spend $7 trillion a year, but somehow this $3.8 billion to Israel is the source of all of our problems. And the third thing it will do is it'll allow Israel to act in its own interest. America has incredible influence over Israel, not the other way around. That's why Bibi Netanyahu wants to get rid of the $3.8 billion, because it will stop America from controlling Israel. And so, frankly, one could argue it's a mistake for us to stop giving them the aid. It removes a lever that we have over them. But for the deficit benefit alone, I think that we should do it, and I support us getting rid of it as soon as we can.
I mean, I got to tell you, I would support us getting rid of all foreign aid. Again, just like with bringing infinity Somalis or Indians or third worlders to our country, nobody's ever made a great argument to the American people as to why we're spending billions upon billions, trillions, frankly, over the course of my life on foreign aid. Has it made the world safer? Has it made people love America more? Has it made us stronger? Of course, it's made us weaker. It's made people almost hate us more. And so I just don't see the argument there for any country, honestly, Israel included. So it's a rich country. It's there's a lot of rich countries. I don't get it. And I think the American people, like the candidate that goes forward and is like, yeah, no foreign aid for anybody actually, would win a lot. And that's a winnable argument. And no infinity third world migration because it's indefensible, frankly. I think also that's a winning argument. Sounds like you're making both. So well done, Congressman.
Thank you.
Everybody follow Congressman Randy Fine. Thank you so much for being on our program and elucidating these ideas. We hope that you're very successful with Ilhan Omar. Thank you for fighting so aggressively against it and sort of like destroying the paradigm that we're not allowed to talk about these things because we are, because it's the future of our country.
It's at stake. We have to fight. If we don't, we're going to lose.
Thank you, Congressman. Godspeed.
Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go very quickly to the great congressman from South Carolina, Ralph Norman, who's been waiting patiently here as we sort of worked on those big and grand ideas. Ralph Norman is from a state that is going to make some very critical decisions in the coming days about what will the future of one of their gerrymandered racist districts be that houses James Clyburn, the man who arguably won the election, big quotes, won the election for Joe Biden in 2020 by endorsing him when Joe Biden's campaign was entirely dead. They've been using James Clyburn and his seat to rig elections, to manipulate the media. He's a favorite of the media. South Carolina could do the nation a service by kicking him out of Congress or making him fight for a fair district. Joining us now, a honored congressman from South Carolina, Ralph Norman. Ralph, how are you, sir? Welcome back to the program.
Very great to be with you.
Good morning. And I know that you have a flight to catch, so we want to jump right to it. This is a critical question, especially after what happened last week in Indiana, for state legislatures in Deep South and Trump plus double digits, which is what South Carolina is, state that loves Donald Trump, to act strongly and to preserve our republic by getting rid of racially gerrymandered districts. Are you in favor of that happening in your home state?
Oh, absolutely, Benny. When I announced my run for governor in July 27th of last year, term limits is one, but redistricting District 6, which is Clyburn's district, has got to be done. If you look at it, it's a district that makes no sense in cutting the land up the way it does, and it's an absolute shame. And Jim Clyburn's been there for 30 years. I like him as a person, but he does not represent the value of South Carolina. He offsets the other conservative voices by voting for a pure socialist like Joe Biden and the ones that follow him. So Hopefully we'll get it done. I know when I become governor, we're going to get it done, and they're talking about it now. But do I have any hopes that they're going to really make headway? No.
Oh, really? That's too bad. So you don't believe that they're going to be able to get it done by 2026?
No, Benny, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. And publicly, they're saying, yes, we want to redistrict. We know it's not fair. It shouldn't have been drawn like that. And then in the cookie room, they are saying a different story because each district, and it affects the 5th district, which I have served for 8 years. But this is about fairness. This is about the good people of that district who I have helped a lot of them with jobs, with other companies in our district. They were driving from District 6 to get a job, but I don't have any hopes they're going to do it. You know, they're talking about it, but I know what the cookie room says, and the cookie room says they're not going to do anything.
That's too bad. That's going to be something that frustrates, obviously, Republican base voters. There's a lot of them. We were there with Donald Trump during the South Carolina primary. Many people said, hey, maybe Nikki Haley will pull this one off. Didn't happen. She lost by double digits. South Carolina loves Donald Trump. So why wouldn't they redistrict?
Well, they should. And I think here's the good news. If the Senate will put it to a vote, make them publicly, vote on it, and they've got a super majority of senators. In the House, it's 88 Republicans and I think like 88 to 40 something. So we've got a super majority in the House and the Senate, but the Senate is where it starts. And I think they ought to take a vote on it. They got a super majority of Republicans, and they should. And I think what President Trump did in Indiana showed the strength he has. And he'll do the same thing with getting behind those who will really try to get the district, try to get the process moving, postpone the June 9th voting, and let's make it fair.
What would be your message as the future governor of South Carolina? I believe, are you leading in the, can you tell me, what does the polls look like? Forgive me, I haven't actually checked this morning.
I'm second and pushing for first.
Okay.
And that's legitimate polls. Now everybody's paying for their own, but we've done legitimate polls, and I'm second and have just now started spending money. We're going to win this race. My message is for South Carolina to draw these lines fairly in District 6. The people deserve it. South Carolina deserves it. And if not now, when are we going to do it? They will do it when I take office in January, and we'll pursue it like we do everything else. But it means so much to this state.
Are you going to name and shame like they did in Indiana? Are you going to apply some hard pressure, some hard power to the members of the state legislature who won't get it done?
Here's what we'll do. We'll put it out there. We'll assume that everyone wants to follow through with their campaign promises. And if they say they're for it, and there's a vast majority of the senators that say they're for it, we'll put them to the test. We won't let them, meander and just act like they can't get the lines drawn. It's not that complicated. So yes, I will do all the above, and I think President Trump will put his name and stamp of approval, which he's already done with a lot of the members.
What do you say to people who are like, they're taking away black voices, like the black voice that represented the district in Memphis that happened to be like a really short white midget, actually, Representative Cohen? It kind of destroys their argument, quite frankly. But like that's what they'll all scream at you, right? They'll scream, you're racist. You're trying to get rid of James Clyburn because you hate him and you hate his skin.
Exactly. That's the same worn out line. And, they'll claim racism, but what's the true test of racism is how these lines have been drawn. And they'll try to use that argument, but look, it's not going to work this time. I know a lot of people in the district, they're good people. It's close to 47% minority, 42% white, and then 6% Hispanic. Those people deserve to have a vote and have a choice, rather than just have it so gerrymandered where there's no hope for it. Jim Clyburn's got a worthy opponent now, Maurice Washington, who's a great guy, African American. Duke Buckner, who ran in 2024, he got 40-some% of the vote. So it's going to be the people are ready and they deserve it.
What say you about Lindsey Graham? A lot of people been on this show trashing Lindsey Graham. saying he doesn't represent the interests of South Carolina. We just had a member of Congress on who's talking about foreign policy. It does seem that Lindsey Graham does spend a lot of time focused on foreign nations and very little time focused on South Carolina. That's just our observation. We don't know the guy. And, you know, I wouldn't have advised, if I worked for Lindsey Graham, I wouldn't have advised him to go to Disney and hold a princess bubble wand while we were all while you were all on vacation, not passing the SAVE Act. But that's just me.
Well, Lindsey Graham, I like. He morphs into a conservative around election time. He's been good on the judges. He's done some good things, but he's been there too long. He votes like Democrats and on many cases, and you know he's just been there too long. He is the poster child for term limits, and I think that this election on June 9th is going to tell a lot. And he's getting booed awful lot, and it goes some places where they like him, but he's changed his opinion so many times. I think it's frustrated a lot of the people I talk with because he doesn't back up the conservative values that South Carolina is that they like, and that put people in office that are truly conservative and truly think about the taxpayer, not getting reelected.
Mm. Yeah, it's an interesting state. We really hope that it gets done. We really hope that the whole South, and it seems like there are some very positive movements in the entire South to get rid of racism. And shouldn't we all be for that? Shouldn't we be in favor of drawing lines that don't include somebody's skin color and how you're drawing the line? Isn't that the point? Isn't this like, all men are created equal kind of thing? You'd think that everybody would be down with that, but Democrats are losing their minds on it. What would be your encouragement to the rest of the Deep South that's trying to do this?
The Deep South realizes this is not a black or white issue. This is a American issue. And Joe Biden did not, who Jim Clyburn put in office, does not represent South Carolina. That's why they went overwhelmingly for Trump and for conservative congressmen, which 6 of them are conservatives and run under the Republican banner. So it's not a black-white. They can say Jim Crow all they want, but it's worn out. And as they say in the South, this dog ain't going to hunt.
I know you have a flight to catch, Congressman, so final question for you. Virginia Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, a guy who I'm sure you know very well, is trying to say that now there's term limits. This is how we're going to fix this Supreme Court ruling. We'll kick them all out by making some type of subjective decision on term limits that that wipes out the entire Supreme Court, which is just tyranny. And one of the most obscene and insane things I've ever seen posited on a political landscape. I mean, what's your reaction to this with the Supreme Court decision that wiped out the Democrat map last week?
Nothing surprises me, Benny, about Hakeem Jeffries. You talk about somebody that's a racist. He is as racist as it gets. And, the fact that he's saying these things doesn't surprise me. Whenever he does his magic minute on the floor, I have no use in listening to it. So he'll continue these things. And it's he is so divisive. And I think he and Madami and others have overtaken the Democrat Party. And it's totally a socialistic Marxist policy that the American people are going to reject.
You say he's a racist. You know him probably better than I do. I don't share a building with him, at least. So what do you mean by that?
Well, everything is racism to him. I mean, there's issues now, not based on race, as I mentioned with the redistricting. This isn't a black or white issue. This is an American issue. And look how the differences are with the Democrat Party, which is represented by, again, Madami, the Spanberger, who was recently elected in Virginia. She's a total socialist. Government runs everything. And Hakeem has always brought up race in every single statement he makes just about. And it's really an insult to the people that he keeps doing that. If the people aren't buying it, I know in South Carolina they're not.
Yeah. His greatest threat ever is that he'll come down to Florida and start campaigning here. It'd be amazing for us. I hope so. I'll buy him a ticket,
Gavin Newsom, the same way. That's your dream. That's your dream.
Yeah. It looks like Kamala Harris is going to be leading the pack right now. final question. She's going to be in South Carolina quite a bit. What's your message to Kamala Harris?
She will not get a warm reception, not from the vast majority of, and she carried 40% in the last election, which is surprising, but nah, she's, her own party will put her out. I mean, I don't know what issue she's going to campaign on that she thinks will garner her votes other than in the left-leaning areas of California and other states. But no, South Carolina, she doesn't fit the values. She can campaign all she wants. It's actually a good thing for us because you see the differences that she has versus who will end up putting up.
All right. Well, thank you, Congressman, and hopefully future governor of South Carolina. It's a fine state. It's a lovely state. We always have an incredible time when we're there. And we wish you the very best of luck. Everybody can follow the congressman right here. And again, Godspeed, sir.
Thank you so much, Benny. Appreciate it.
We just called a Patriot, a couple of them, actually. I just want to say Patriot Mobile is who you should use. If you're calling Patriots, Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative wireless provider in the nation, and they can back you up. They do for us as we travel. We will be traveling. My kids are all sick, so I guess my wife and I are like very touch and go here. We do plan on traveling later this week to Bozeman, Montana. The reason for that is we'll be speaking to the Montana GOP at an event there, and so we're very excited to hopefully show our children the great Western American landscape. And we'll be bringing Patriot Mobile with us as we travel there. I guess we'll see. We'll see. It'll either be me going out and coming right back if our kids are just too sick for the trip. We'll see. It's the life of the parent. If you're a parent, you feel me. Ladies and gentlemen, stay connected. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny for a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. Newt Gingrich on what's going on in Virginia. We didn't get a chance to get here because I was ranting too much, but it's been a wild morning. It's been a good morning. Lots of positive news. Let's go.
Mobilization of everything. I mean, California's involved. Democrats didn't mind when California wiped out Republican seats. They loved Virginia wiping out Republican seats. All of a sudden, the institutional tide has turned. And this is why Trump is such a historic figure. He is the first person to really take the establishment head on and to grind at them and grind at them and grind at them. And the result is they're breaking apart. They're breaking apart in the universities. They're breaking apart in terms of the maps. The key question the court had to answer, which has been coming now for 30 years, is can you, in fact, use race as a factor? Well, it's very clear that the establishment used race in order to create districts that African Americans would win in. And they used race for admission to Harvard, et cetera. All of that is gradually receding, and people are saying, wait a second, you know, you've got to compete. Now, we have African Americans who win in white districts.
This was a hilarious, to dovetail directly from that clip, a moment from CNN that was a show shocker. So stunned, actually, was the CNN host that they cut to commercial rapidly and embarrassingly after noting that Steve Cohen, aforementioned Representative Steve Cohen, who represents the black district. He's a short, Jewish, white midget in Tennessee. So there's your black representation. This is what Democrats are arguing when they're screaming about Tennessee. Tennessee did, in fact, get rid of that district. So where's your argument exactly? Where is it? On CNN, the panelist said the person who will replace Steve Cohen is actually a black woman. So if your argument is they need to be represented by people who look like them, which is, again, is insane, but if that's your argument, then wouldn't this be an improvement from a guy who looks actually like the Crypt Keeper? We have a photo of him. Hey, Alex, can you grab that photo? It's like a guy who looks like the Crypt Keeper who takes his greasy little fingers and eats KFC on the house floor for some reason. He's bald. He's a midget. He's white, and Democrats are now forced to argue that this is the guy who represents all black people. King of black people, in fact. Okay, here's the moment on CNN.
The woman now who is likely going to win the 9th district in Tennessee is a black Republican woman as a result of this redistricting effort. It's likely going to be a black Republican woman who beats that old white man.
Could I make this very simple?
But that's racist?
We're going to come back.
It actually is.
We're going to take a quick break, and then Tesla and Congressman, I'm going to have you both respond. We'll be right back.
Quick, run. Everyone run, run. Here's what Steve Cohen looks like, by the way. This is what's here's your King of Black People. The Peter Griffin meme. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Never go full retard. Here's the Representative Justin Pearson, who just recently staged an insurrection. This guy is a literal theater kid who has like a Carlton Banks video. You've probably seen it all over the internet, where he doesn't have an afro. He doesn't have any Southern accent, where again, he's talking like Carlton Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but he decided to wear as a skin suit Malcolm X. And this is what he's doing now. There you go. Here you go. This is the absolute state. So it did work, and we live in a republic with rules and no amount of dancing or crying or screaming or jiving or insurrections that you throw, which he did throw an insurrection. Justin Pearson should be arrested and thrown in jail. He belongs in prison for attacking, verbally assaulting a police officer here, a state police officer. This is during an actual insurrection that they were staging at the state capitol. This is, of course, a violation of Tennessee law. Where is, look at them get up in the cop's face there. Where's the punishment here? We're going to keep asking. Hopefully we'll be able to book some members of the Tennessee House or Tennessee delegation. Marsha Blackburn would be great to talk to about this. What's going on here? Why isn't he in prison? Because he broke Tennessee law, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I don't know about that. I hope that we were able to book somebody to talk with us about whether Justin Pearson should be in prison. Maybe Tim Burchett. He hasn't been on the show in a while. Tim Burchett sounding off about our show this past weekend on Joe Rogan, which was great. I don't know if you saw the clip. We'll play it for you in just a second. We'll load it up. And this will be our final clip of the show. Yeah, this is Justin Pearson. I love this guy. This is so great. Listen to this guy. This is the guy who was dancing on stage.
To do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Bowdoin Democrats to the Bowdoin Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Here, you've had 3 strikes laws, mass incarceration, denied us of who we are, and we are still here. And today, you'll take the only majority black district from us. But I want you to know, and I want my nephew, sons, and the future to know, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try and break.
Okay, calm down. I can't take it anymore. Yeah, great. We love it. We love the party going to these people. We love the party going to AOC. Bring it on. We love it. You can't let them ever get power because these are the they're the theater kids. They're the kids that nobody wanted to hang out with in high school. Socially regressive, creepy, very weird, strange vibe and attitudes, and they antisocial and sociopathic, right? And not comfortable in their own skin, obviously. Changing their accents. Who does this? Kamala Harris, AOC, Justin Pearson, changing their accents, changing who they are, wearing as a skin suit, whatever culture they think fits them best at the time. That's pathological. There's something deeply wrong with you. You should pray for these people. You should absolutely not let them have power. You should not work with anybody who wants them to have power. You should not listen to anybody who would ever advocate for them having power. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to have the power over your future financially. Invest in gold. Advantage Gold is who we trust on this program. They've been a longtime sponsor of the show, but they've done us right when it comes to our own investments. There is a dip right now in the gold market. Some are calling it the dip of the century. Central banks are buying. Billionaires are buying. Nation states are buying. Are you losing in money markets to the erosion of inflation that is always eating away at your savings? I trust Advantage Gold, America's top-rated precious metals company, right now. Text Benny to 85545 right now. Benny to 85545 right now. Your Advantage Gold kit, you'll discover an IRS-approved loophole where you can move your 401k or IRA and do silver or gold tax-free and penalty-free. So text Benny to 85545 right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll end with a Tim Burchett commentary on the Benny Show. And Klein, I just want to play this as like an outro clip, okay? Let's do this as an outro clip right before we head on over to what are we going to do? Peace in our time? Yeah, why not end on a positive note? Everybody loved these pieces over the weekend. Vladimir Putin saying that there is an end to the Ukraine-Russia war in sight. Voldemort Zelensky also saying exactly this. Vladimir Putin, we are ending the Ukraine-Russia war. And President Trump, we are thanking him. It's amazing. So Putin thanked President Trump. Zelensky thanked President Trump over the weekend. And the war coming to an end. Vladimir Putin, I'm sure you know Russian, said as much that he expects the conclusion of this war to happen right now. Here we go. We have the clip.
Который продолжается до сих пор. Я думаю, что дело идет к завершению, но все-таки это серьезная вещь.
I'm sure you understood all of that. He's saying that the war must come to an end. Both leaders thanked President Trump for his work on peace. I believe that Donald Trump is going to use his muscle in order to get both the Iran and Ukraine wars wrapped up at the same time. Iran is a pressure point for Russia and a pressure point for China. And both of those nations can affect what happens there. And Donald Trump is obviously using this as a trap in order to get both nations to do what he wants. I think that I have certainly had my arguments with the timing and what's happening with the war in Iran. And I spent the weekend actually speaking with some parents whose son is serving over there. Had dinner with some parents whose son is serving in that arena right now. And it's just heartbreaking they sign up for it, but it's like tough to see the stress that it causes families. Obviously, I don't want any American hurt. I don't want any American to die or to be injured in any foreign lands. I don't like these foreign wars. Foreign wars are never popular in our country, ever. World War II wasn't popular in our country. FDR was about to lose his fourth election. He was about to lose. Every poll showed it. FDR was about to get kicked out of office, wheeled out of office, right? They're just not popular. And I don't want them to threaten what we have going on here domestically in our nation, which, as we detailed in the show, is an ascendant movement. And so that's obviously why I'm for it being wrapped up quickly. What do the markets say? Ukraine signs peace deal with Russia before 2027. We have a nearly 40% likelihood. That would be nice. It's down from 70%. That's too bad. But it is right now popping to nearly 40%. That's as high as it's been in a very long time. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what we'd like to see. If Trump can do that, then you're going to talk about 60% approval rating and $2 gas. And if you're heading into the midterms like that, obviously the price of gas is linked to the price of groceries and everything else in the world. If you're heading into the midterms like that, you're in a really, really Great position. It's been good. Tons of good news in the UK elections. Labour got destroyed. The Reform Party, which would be like the MAGA party of England, both Restore Britain and Reform, both of them got thousands of seats from the Labour Party. Alberta effectively voted in order to secede from Canada. It's a crazy weekend. And they're good, positivist, nationalist energies all around the globe. So there's absolutely no reason to blackpill. There's every reason, in fact, to fight as hard as we possibly can in order to ensure a bright future for all of us in the defeat of the globalists and the defeat of the race Marxists who want to destroy Western civilization for their own power. It's a beautiful thing. The numbers in the UK are just insane. If you want a historic white pill, check it out. The council seats, or what the election was this past weekend, that would be like state elections. There'd be like local elections here in our country, municipality elections. But these show, I mean, obviously, who's in charge of Florida, who's in charge of Texas, who's in charge of New York and California is critical to show who has the power in the nation. 1,400 council seats have been won in England by Reform. First place, second place in Wales, which is as far left-wing as you can possibly get. In England, Wales has been like a Labour stronghold forever. It is second in Scotland, also very left-wing. Just an absolute crazy political revolution and earthquake that has happened across the map. The map is wild. The map is really amazing. Check this out. Red is Labour, not Republican. From 2024 to 2025, the turquoise is Reform. This would be the MAGA party of England. Look at the difference. Look at the domination there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we began the show by saying you heard it here first from Ken Cuccinelli about what was going to happen in Virginia. We'll end the show with Tim Burchett on Joe Rogan talking about this audience, this program. It's an honor to get a shout out from the congressman, speaking with the granddaddy of them all, Joe Rogan, about, well, the news that he broke here on this program. So we, I was going to do this as a throw, but I guess not. Okay. Here we go. This is the power of the audience. Let's go.
Group of any human being.
Yeah, but they do it because they're just lapdogs.
So there's a strategy where they have a bunch of people that they sort of compromise as disruptors, and they are compromised. Exactly, that's the word. I was on and I'm going to say another one. I was on the Benny show early when he was early on, and I was talking. Ben Johnson. Yeah. Nice. And so he's been very kind to me. Joe. And so he asked me about how do they do it, and I said, well, they used to do this thing called the honey pot. You know, you'd go to some. I never go on trips. The only trip I've ever been on a Codell was to the border down here, down in Texas, and I went down for one day, flew down here, saw the border, saw the people coming over the border, got in an airplane, flew home. It was about an 18-hour trip. It wasn't any luxury. I stayed in a room that my buddies at the frat house would have probably asked for our money back in. It was pretty rough, you know. Got some good barbecue, though. But anyway, so these guys go on these trips, and say you're sitting down at the bar. I mean, you're a good-looking guy. Some girl comes up to you, or some guy, whatever your interest, whatever your proclivities are, and laughing at your jokes. And, you know, next thing you know, you're up in the bedroom naked with them. And then you think, man, I pulled this off. I was with this smoke show, and my wife and kids don't know about it. And I'm just going to, you know, just between me and the Lord. And then, you know, you're getting ready to make a key vote. And a staffer comes up or a lobbyist or something, you're in the hall and says, hey, Congressman. I said, yeah, man, how's it going? He said, he got this big boat. Yeah, but I'm not for y'all on this one. Okay, we understand. He said, hey, were you in a motel room in Istanbul with a pretty redhead one time? And they go, oh. And they say, man, I don't want that out. It'll wreck my... Oh, we don't want it out. We just need your help. And that's how they sink their claws into you. They used to. And they might do that now, but I was on the Benny show and I was talking about that. Oh man, I caught it from, it was leadership and members. Man, everybody thinks we're sleeping around. I'm saying, I didn't say everybody. I just said some of y'all are. I said, don't, and every day there's a new one getting in trouble. So it's not any big secret. 435 of us. So
you get 435 people. You got to add a few freaks in there. 435 group of any human beings. Especially, if you can compromise a man with beautiful women, it's not that hard to do.
Or if they're gay and they don't want it out in their public or whatever. So I said this to Benny, and I caught it. And then about a week later, and I said it's probably the Chinese, the Russians, or something. They busted a Chinese prostitution ring. And what did they list as their clientele? Lobbyists, government employees, and politicians.
Of course.
And then what happened the next week? That story went away. And Benny does this thing. He showed me walking out, and he's like, I throw a match, and the whatever behind me just bursts into flames, and I'm walking out. It's really cool. And he also did a song of me singing "Dadgum," which is my cuss. I don't cuss. I say "Dadgum," and he did that. But anyway, that was my point. Is that they use this stuff, and they know what we want. These guys. These countries, they know, they own the internet, so they know which porn you look at in the privacy of your home, that you think you got this private name on your freaking computer, and they know, and so that's what they're going to hit you with. So anyway, that's a long story, but I think mostly it's just jobs now.
Mostly jobs and influence and figuring out, well, you think about...
You get a dirt bag, you're going to get him to sleep with some hooker, that's going to happen.
We love to see it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just profound appreciation for this audience and for being able to do this for years and years now, and to be able to have so many memorable moments. It's all because we're all fighting for the same thing, a future for our children in this country. That's why we do a verse of the day from John 17:22. I've given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one. Just a reminder that the power of Christ lives within you. The power that resurrected our Lord and Savior. Easter was not too long ago. Just a couple weeks ago, actually. The power that rose Christ from the grave lives within you and lives within me. Christ is saying that you can move mountains. You can manifest, can order things to be done. And that if you have faith, it will be done. It will be counted in your favor. Make sure that you're taking the talents that God gave you and multiplying them. It is your boy Benny. This is the Benny Show. See ya.
It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. It's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. It's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.